Canada, rabbit. It is the first day of September in the year of the plague, 2020. I'm Hugh Hewitt inside the Beltway in the ReliefFactor.com studio. Let's go through the rundown. Israel strikes in Syria, at least 3 killed as the Israeli jets zoom over Syria, hitting targeted depots suspected of being Hezbollah and or Iranian depots. Meanwhile, the first flight from Israel to the United Arab Emirates took off and landed yesterday, including National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, Assistant to the President Jared Kushner. Very warm reception, according to the Times of Israel, a kosher banquet and a paradigm change. UAE signals this will be a warm peace. That's very good news for the world. Also good news for the world. Schools have reopened. Schools have reopened in Great Britain. Kids went back to school yesterday in Great Britain. And parents will face fines if they do not send their children back to school today. The school minister insisted. And about 40% of schools reopen. The rest are expected next week, according to variations in the country. That's not happening in the United States. Kids are the same as they are in the United Kingdom. One has to wonder why the politicization of schools here. A grand total, I believe, of 86 to 100 children have died from COVID. Now compare that with car accidents and falls and drownings and all the other tragedies that break our hearts when small children are involved, and it's horrific. But it's also not statistically significant reason to close the schools. The danger from COVID is to older Americans. In fact, they're having a second wave in Spain. If you follow me on Twitter, and I hope you do, at Hugh Hewitt, not hard, you just sign up for Twitter and follow me. You'll see over there that I tweeted out from Spain that there's a second wave underway in Spain, but the median age of sufferers has dropped to around the age of 37 from 60. Asymptomatic cases account for more than 50% of positive results, meaning someone has the virus, they don't know it. And that's because they've risen in testing 400%. Health institutions are much better prepared. So what we may have seen was that the lethality of COVID was because it was new, because it spread so quickly, there were so many asymptomatic carriers, and testing's not really going to matter much. What's going to matter is that we get people who are sick quickly into the therapies that we know that work, and that we try and protect our elderly population. And I think maybe not just elderly, 60 and older, but definitely 75 and older. And we'll be fine. Russian fighter planes confronted U.S. bombers over the Black Sea. You know how they say Donald Trump is going soft on Russia? Russia doesn't think so. Retail eviction proceedings are picking up. That's actually good news. It's terrible news for the businesses that went bust because of the shutdown. But the fact that landlords are evicting tenants, they're giving them a pay-up notice. For example, there's a story here in the Wall Street Journal that in Miami, a luxury shopping center told Saks Fifth Avenue, pay up or get out. Now, I'm not going to lose sleep over Saks Fifth Avenue, right? It's not a little restaurant that struggled to open up. It's Saks. And they took advantage, like big businesses will, of moratoriums. But now they've been told pay up. And if they can't, get out. It's a luxury mall. Japan has found a new leader. I think it's pronounced Mr. Suga, S-U-G-A, to replace Shinzo Abe. Suga has been the fixer. Bad news in Los Angeles. Los Angeles Sheriff's deputy shot and killed a black man, unidentified at this hour. The Los Angeles arm of Black Lives Matter urged its supporters to mobilize yesterday. More than 100 people had congregated at the scene, but that was late yesterday, so we don't know whether or not that's going to become a source of violence and demonstration. A couple of big lawsuits yesterday. The D.C. Circuit dismissed the lawsuit seeking to force a subpoena against Donald McGahn, but the full D.C. Circuit said Michael Flynn can't be dismissed as the torture of Michael Flynn continues. It's a shame. It's appalling. The Supreme Court should end that. Meanwhile, in Wall Street world, Zoom. Everybody knows Zoom now, right? I did a Zoom call yesterday for the Nixon Foundation about my 1000th Zoom call. They reported yesterday, and they blew earnings away. just absolutely crushed it. 355% increase in revenue year over year. Most analysts had predicted revenue about 500 million, a big jump, but it was 663 million. And shares are going through the roof, as are the shares of Tesla and Apple, which took off yesterday after splits. Let me do a pre-market report brought to you by Birch Gold. I would not tell you to do something that I have not done myself. I bought gold last week. I made another purchase from the only company I trust, which is Birch Gold. So don't wait until the day after the election or when another panic comes around. Buy occasionally. Dollar cost averaging applies there. Gold this morning is at 1,994. Been up all week, up about 0.82% this morning. Meanwhile, yesterday, the stock market report. To buy Birch Gold, by the way, you go to hughgold.com, HUGHGOLD.com. And it's a great place to put 10 to 25% of your retirement savings in physical precious metals or gold. Not 100%, not 50%, 25% the max. It is a anchor, a diversification of your portfolio. Some people buy gold stocks. I believe in the physical metal. Or if you buy it and put it in your safety deposit box, don't keep it at home. You'll lose it. Honestly, you'll be like Dwayne. And don't do that. Yesterday, the Dow went down 223, but the NASDAQ went up 79. Split market. Overseas this morning, Japan unchanged, Hong Kong up a little bit, Germany up 0.5%, Britain down 1% and a third. So we don't really know what's going to happen here today. My proxy for the tech stocks, Amazon went up $50 yesterday, and at one time reached all-time highs, and I imagine it will be buoyed by Apple and Tesla going up. They had a 4-for-1 split for Apple and Tesla, not for Amazon. And so the market is just doing great. Gold's doing great. The V-shaped recovery is underway. And so Joe Biden, under pressure, took to the campaign trail yesterday. Remember, Birch Gold, that's hughgold.com, or text my name, Hugh, to 474747. Joe Biden spoke about violence yesterday because his numbers are plummeting. And people believe the violence is ridiculous, obscene, dangerous. They blame Black Lives Matter and primarily Antifa. And Joe Biden went to Pittston, Pennsylvania, and uttered words that I think we will all remember. Cut number 1.
You know me. You know my heart. You know my story, my family story. Ask yourself, do I look like a radical socialist with a soft spot for rioters? Really?
Okay, so we're going to cut that down to just his question. Just his question. Make that cut number 24, Dwayne. Because his question, do I look like a radical socialist with a soft spot for rioters, is the answer is yes, you do, Joe. Because on your right-hand side is Kamala Harris, and on your left-hand side is AOC. So, yeah, you do. Now, he also didn't make a lot of sense. He started talking about COVID. Cut number 2.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it, more lives this year than any other year for the past 100 years.
Think about it. He also said this, cut number 3.
I am not banning fracking. Let me say that again. I am not banning fracking.
But we happen to have a montage of him saying many other things. Cut number 4.
No new fracking.
We are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
Well, like, what about, say, stopping fracking and stopping pipe?
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated.
I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel, and I am not going to cooperate.
No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. Ends.
Got it? Joe is not telling you the truth. Joe's not sure what he's telling you. But does he look like a radical socialist with the soft spot for rioters? Yeah, he does. Donald Trump was out yesterday as well. We'll play some of that when we return. Happy Tuesday to you. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show.